On, y'all. Coffee time. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've been to the coffee time. Uh, Hope everybody is swelling well out there, as they would say. Uh, Hope everybody, enjoying this beautiful cold weather in the Northeast, freezing temperatures. But like I said, it's been a minute since I've done a coffee time. Just wanted to come and just talk about something, right? But having a form of grace. So much society has changed so much in the last 30, 40 years that you know when we see situations in the news and stuff that we'd like to talk about before, at one time, you had some type of sympathy, empathy, and grace for the individual majority of the people, right? You get a couple people that'll be trolling or have something to say about it. But then nowadays, the majority of people, when you hear something about someone, they don't have no grace. They don't. They can care less, which is totally understandable if that's who you are. People are who you are. Your perception of what's going on is your perception of what's going on. But I was thinking about this with the football coach from Michigan, Sharon Moore, who lost his job last week in reference to he had stepped out on his wife with a subordinate young lady that was on his staff. He was in a relationship with her. He gave her promotion. His wife found out. His wife kicked him out. He went to the girl's house, threatened to kill herself, threatened to kill her. You know, as the younger people say, he crashed out. And it has been a lot of conversation around Sharon Moore in reference to if he would have beat Ohio State, this wouldn't have came out because people in Michigan knew about it for weeks or even possibly months that this was going on with the side piece. That's a very interesting. Not saying it's not true. That, if you understand the football rivalry of Michigan Ohio State, it's real. I remember I worked with two people. Believe it or not, I worked with two people, husband and wife. One graduated from Michigan, one graduated from, as she would say, the Ohio State University. I mean, people are very proudful of their alma maters. Then, I heard the take, well, this is what he get for dealing with a white woman, right? Unbeknownst to the people that took that position was his wife is white. Once again, interesting take because you still have to understand that our society, when you're dealing with interracial marriages, things don't when they do go bad or you do have some issues in it, they don't seem to always go well. You know, it might be a embedded thing where the black man may come out on the losing end in that situation. I don't know. It hasn't been studied. I don't know, but that's an interesting position to take for some people. Some people feel like that when you're dealing with somebody that's white and you're black. You need to be careful. You need to be cautious because, like I said, for them it don't end well. And then you got the take where some even sports journalists said, well, if it was a white coach, we wouldn't have had this issue. He would have never lost his job. Did they ever hear about Bobby Paterno? I mean, but that's neither here nor there. And that goes back to, we always say, like, if isms or what isms. If it was white, wouldn't be dealt with that. I mean, like I said, that's something that needs to be based off of data as well. You can easily get data like that when situations happen. And I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm not going to be naive enough to say that that's not true. However, I'm gonna say that, you know, you can't always use race as a fall safe when shit don't go right when you fucked up. Because the truth of the matter is that Sharon Moore decided to step out on his marriage. And we see it. We see it every day, all day, where men, and I'm not, this isn't about a women conversation, but men, you know, that what women got, it's their downfall. They have no discipline. You know, I've been there. I mean, most men have been there. Most men have crashed out over one woman, over a woman. Maybe he stepped out, or the woman that he was dealing with may have, you know, broke his heart, as we would say, or hurt his feelings, and he just lost it. And that was the root of why I wanted to bring it up, because, you know, when you hear that he crashed out and said he was going to harm himself, say he was going to harm the young lady, and I don't like the way she's doing him, because she's trying to act like he was stalking her, which they charged him with stalking. You know, she's basically, as we would say, Karen'd up, which I think is a lie. I think she was dealing with him. I don't think he forced her. I really don't even think she was trying to break it up. I just think that she's trying to save face. But that's just my opinion. But the issue I have with Sharon Moore, and why I wanted to bring it up, was having grace in situations, knowing that when a lot of people, as we would say, crash out, really they're just having a mental block. I mean, you had a guy who's coaching, a black coach, the first black coach in the history of Michigan University, and he's on, quote unquote, on top of the world. And the truth of the matter is, his world, even though he stepped out, and you would say before he stepped out, he should have known. He should have been smart enough to know what he could have lost. Some people don't think like that. Some people don't think about what they're going to lose if they do stuff. They don't think about the consequences. This is why most people do certain things. They don't think about no consequences whatsoever when they're doing something. They just do it. They do it, and they don't have that discipline enough to say, like, you know, it's not worth, the risk is not worth it. You know, they don't contemplate whether they should do something or not. But anyway, right, what I wanted to bring up was, we see people crashing out. We do all this conversating about mental health and how people need to, you know, take care of mental health, but we continuously never address mental health. Lately on the channel, I have been doing stuff with Professor Drea, who's my sister, in reference to mental health, and, you know, just seeing some of the signs and not crashing out, or so forth, so on. And we're going to continue with this Wednesday. And, you know, a lot of people deal with their mental health different, grief, and so forth, so on. I got another show scheduled on Friday with the sister Aja in reference to grief. You know, so we just need to be more understanding when we see people crash out, and not always, as we say, laugh at their situation or use their situation as a way of looking down on them. Like I said, we've all been there. Definitely if you're a man. If you're a man, you've been there. Guys could get up here, get in comments, or be on other shows and have this super bravado and all this, but you got to be able to, you got to learn, and you got to be able to handle yourself and be disciplined enough not to crash out, not to do nothing stupid, not to do nothing that's going to put you in jeopardy. You know, when you're going through certain situations, you got to have somebody to talk to, have somebody to kick it with. You know, it's not easy for everybody. Everybody don't have great problem-solving skills. So we need to be more mindful of that and be more understanding and just have grace in that situation. But that's all I really wanted to say this morning for coffee time. I know it's been a minute. Hopefully I'm going to get back to doing coffee time at least 3 or 4 times a week, as well as some other shows. I got some stuff about to jump off. Salute Lone Wolf. Yeah, Lone Wolf, man, you would be the perfect person to really have this conversation with about how, you worked in law enforcement, retired law enforcement, firearms trainer. You understand the crash out. You understand you've seen a lot of people crash out, lose it for something so that we think is so small, and we see how they lose. A person will lose everything and just risk it all. But that's all I wanted to do is come and talk about that. But until next time, you guys, take it easy, man. Stay warm, man. Northeast is freezing. But it is what it is. It's the middle of the winter. Let's go. Let's get to it. Stay safe out there. Keep your eyes open and be aware. And we're going to kick it soon, man. I might try to do something tonight. But until then, take it easy.